Well, we're talking now about how you can beat the winter blues with expert help from Ellie Mental Health in Beechwood. Joining us this morning, licensed clinical counselors Michelle Turner and Samantha Ramos. It is so good to have you here with us today.
Thanks so much for having us.
So we're talking about seasonal depression, and it is something that you think, okay, maybe it's not a big deal, maybe it is a big deal. Can you kind of describe for everyone what seasonal depression really is and how it kind of differs from just the typical winter blues?
So seasonal depression, you really want to take a look at like how's it impacting your life? Like what kind of things are you doing? Like, you know, are you kind of meh about things? Like are you really kind of paralyzed and not being able to get up and move and stuff like that? So winter blues are a lot of like maybe a little bit of irritability, a little bit of meh, I don't feel like doing this. Maybe you cancel a couple plans, maybe you doom scroll a little bit more often. Where depression, like it's those kind of behaviors amplified.
And I feel like that's where it can kind of get a little bit tricky or confusing, Samantha, because I know even I personally, there will be times where I'm like, oh, I really feel like I have that seasonal affective disorder, and then the sun is shining the next day and I'm in a better mood. So what are some of those signs where you're able to say, you know what, this really is more than just a meh?
Yeah, when, like Michelle said, when you're feeling a little bit more isolated, especially working with kiddos and teens, when they don't want to go to school, lack of schoolwork, they really don't want to do their homework, they don't want to be with friends, they don't want to be with family, and even in adults, like they just kind of want to stay in the room, stay closed off, kind of, sometimes it's harder to even just go to work. Little things like that.
Are there certain things, Samantha, that are different signs in adults as opposed to kids and teens?
Yeah, kids and teens, it's more about the school that I have noticed. They really just don't want to do schoolwork. They start off the year strong in the fall time when it's still kind of warm and sunny. And then kind of winter time, it gets closer to winter break and afterwards, and they just don't want to do their schoolwork. They don't even want to go to school. They want to just take more days off. Don't want to participate in their sports. Any of that.
You know, this can be also a little challenging as a parent if you start to notice these signs in your kid or your teenager. How do you approach them, and how do you really sit down and talk with them and say, you know, I've noticed your behavior is changing and maybe we need to take a different approach to it, Michelle?
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things where you want to approach with some boundaries and stuff, because depending on how little or how old the kid is, like there's different ways of doing it, but just kind of being honest with them and just saying, hey, like I am worried about you. Like, do you need somebody to talk to? Do you need like some different things done, like, you know, things around the house done differently and stuff like that, but really kind of just letting them set the tone for how they want to approach it, and leaving that door open, because some kids are very like, I don't want to talk about this, like keep it closed off, but not taking that personally and just saying, well, when you're ready, like we can call somebody or we can, you know, interject that way.
You know, there has been such a stigma with mental health and counseling services, but I think especially the last couple of years we're helping to kind of destigmatize that. You know, you've given so much advice on what parents can do, but what about as an individual? How do you recommend going about saying, you know what, I think that there is something going on and I think I could benefit from speaking with a professional?
I think the main thing is like knowing that it can be scary. It sounds scary, but it's not. Right. It's really just a conversation. I like to, when I meet with new people, I like to tell them, I'm like your verbal diary. Right. I'm very relaxed. You can tell me what you want, and I'm not going to tell nobody, right. But we're also, if you don't want to be so serious today, that's okay too, especially with teens too. They kind of think we're just sitting here having a one-on-one conversation and that's it. But you know, I like to do interactive activities. A lot of clinicians at our practice like to do interactive activities, so it makes it less scary.
And it's not just you talk with someone one time. A lot of times you develop a relationship and you trust the person that you're speaking with, and then you're able to kind of really get to the source of it all, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you can schedule kind of like at your own pace. So like if you want to like hit the ground running, like we can meet weekly. If you are kind of want to ease into it and like you're still getting kind of used to it, we can do bi-weekly. Like we really meet people where they're at and schedule accordingly.
And you can even do it online.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Right. But online can also pose some issues with, you know, we were talking about social media and all that stuff. So I'm sure that sometimes can kind of play into it. But for the sake of ease and making it a little bit more convenient for people, that's something that you can do as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing works really well with like mothers with little kids at home, or even dads with kids at home and stuff.
Right.
Like they can, you know, entertain their kid and they don't have to get a babysitter and drive to the office and stuff. It's literally a point and shoot and you can talk.
Perfect. Well, Michelle, Samantha, thank you both so much. I know this was the first time you've ever done this. You were a little bit nervous, but I could not tell. And I can also see how you can be so great in dealing with people that need to talk with someone. So thank you so much. Ellie Mental Health in Beechwood. You can log online to find a location and set up an appointment. Thank you both so much.